Okay, now it's your turn with questions. We have a number of questions on the Big Brother side of this, and whether or not there's a government intrusion and public utility intrusion into our homes. One question, the basic foundation of our country is the assumption that man is fit to govern himself rather than be ruled by dictators. Does this smart meter program operate on the first assumption or the latter? Another, I'm a consumer, sell me your product and don't tell me how to use it. There's another component to the smart energy use, and that is that Whirlpool and GE are now developing smart appliances, and these smart appliances are also hooked up to the grid, and they will basically, it's I believe something you opt into. Now at some point it could be something you don't have any choice with, but at the moment it's something that you opt into, and you're allowed to give them permission through the grid to turn off your dryer during certain times, or at least put it on low energy use during certain times of the day, or however else they would make it more energy efficient. Who wants to take a crack at the big government component, in particular the smart appliances and other smart components that are part of it?
Well, I was speaking on the phone with Heather last night, and she said, you know, I don't really want my refrigerator talking about me behind my back. And you know, it's true when you think about it. If every appliance in your house is microchipped and is communicating wirelessly with your smart meter, and that data is being relayed every 4 seconds to data collector units, which send that data to a cell phone tower, which send it to massive data centers that will process and analyze that data. That is tremendously valuable information for corporations, for marketers. Imagine if you get up in the middle of the night very frequently, and you turn on the lights when you do that. Well, corporations are going to be able to know, that your utility company is going to be able to know that you possibly have a urinary disorder, and possibly, you know, the pharmaceutical industry might want to market particular drugs to you through your Gmail account. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. And there are insufficient protections currently on that data. You know, the utilities say, oh, your data is completely safe. But if you look at the actual regulations in place, it is wholly insufficient. And I think people should be very alarmed about that aspect of the smart meter program.
Could I also say something? In my book, I have an email that came from a lady in Switzerland. She said she had just moved to her home there, and she turned on her washing machine at noon. It turned itself off 5 minutes later and came back on at 3 in the afternoon. Her Switzerland already had the smart meters speaking to the smart appliances, telling them what they could do and what they could not do, and this was a peak time of day, so the smart appliance just was turned off. And I think that's just a little too much Big Brother. What if we need those clothes washed at that time of day and we're willing to pay more money for it? This is just too much control of our lives, and that's already happening.
It definitely is instructive when the federal government and various states are taking a look now, after the rollout of about 15 million mandated installed smart meters, at privacy issues. And so clearly the cart was put before the horse, and this really gets to the heart of the question, that consumers were never consulted, that they were never prioritized, that the promise of consumer efficiencies was never about consumers, it was about utility operating efficiencies, and that has been the priority of the policy. Now, getting to the promise of technology, I think we can go throughout history. My office is a block away from the Library of Congress, and I love going in and getting access to old archived materials. And I've read newspaper accounts from when the telephone was first being rolled out in large numbers in many U.S. cities. And there were articles talking about how it was going to permanently disrupt the sense of community in many towns. And in some ways, I'm sure it did, as any advance in technology. But it also revolutionized communication. There's no question that smart meters and smart appliances, if installed in active collaboration and with active consent of families, can provide promise in terms of making a family's energy usage in their home far more efficient. But the key is consent, not a mandate that does not consult with whether or not this makes sense for this family or whether or not a family might have health effects. But I have definitely talked to a lot of people that love having their programmable smart meter talk to their appliances and they're able to save money, but it's not for everyone. And I definitely do not want government making that decision at a control room hundreds of miles away. So it's about owning and controlling that technology. I want to see consumers be empowered to have access, because the promise of technology, I think, is real. And I think the United States is losing competitive advantage on a number of things, but it cannot be mandated in the way that smart meters were done, particularly in California.